Ladies and gentlemen, council members, please don't stand in for the mayoral party.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Please be seated. Please can I remind all members to switch their mobile phones off or switch them to silent. First agenda item on the council summons is to receive apologies for absence. In advance of the meeting, apologies have been received from councillors Hemingway, Graham and Margaret Isherwood, Massey and Masterman. I have also been informed that councillors Carrington and Jones may need to leave the meeting before its conclusion, and also Councillor Ian. Are there any further apologies to be noted?
Oh no, he's in. But also I might have to leave before we conclude, depending on what happens.
Thank you, Councillor Collins. Councillor Garber.
Yes, I have to leave before.
Thank you, Councillor Garber. Item 2 is members' declarations of interest. Will members declaring an interest please identify themselves and their interest clearly and complete the usual yellow form before the end of the meeting. Firstly, are there any disclosable pecuniary interests to be declared? Are there any other interests to be declared? Thank you. Agenda item 3 is to receive and confirm the minutes of the July council meeting. Are these minutes moved?
Move the minutes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Are the minutes seconded?
Second the minutes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. All in favour? That is carried. Agenda item 4 is to deal with such announcements as I may decide to lay before council. Colleagues, the last few days have been difficult as we have said our goodbye to our colleague Anthony Sadler and to Jimmy Cranswick, this council's first mayor following local government reorganisation. Our thoughts and prayers are with their families and friends at this difficult time. I would be grateful if you would now stand and join me in observing a minute's silence in memory of Anthony and Jimmy. Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you, colleagues. And after such a sombre start to my announcements, I'm delighted to be able to welcome to today's meeting the children and teaching staff of Smallthorne Henry Moore Primary School, Castleford, who are observing from the public gallery. So welcome. The children very kindly invited me to their school back in September, where I joined them for their assembly and taught the classrooms to be heavily quizzed and questioned. I thoroughly enjoyed my day with them, and they have spent today with myself, Dave and Nina, to observe today's citizenship ceremony and to learn about democracy. We have had a great time in the town hall cells and seen the underground tunnels. Over the summer months, the Mayoress and I have undertaken a full and varied diary of civic engagements. We've attended numerous fetes, galas, exhibitions, charity events, family fun days, concerts, flower shows, party in the parks, the transport rally, the Wakefield Trinity 150th anniversary service, and a military benefit rugby match. There are too many engagements to mention individually, but this list, though not exhaustive, gives you a flavour of our mayoral summer. We've been celebrated with Yorkshire Day in Rotherham, Wakefield Pride, Adult Learners, Children Achievers, Care for Us, the annual Bid Awards, and our unsung heroes and local businesses. I was delighted to represent Wakefield District at Rifles Memorial Service and the Yorkshire Miners Memorial Service. The Wakefield District has so much to offer, and we have been greeted with such kind and friendly greetings wherever we have visited, and we have much to be proud of. As I travel around the district to present my Mercedes Thanks Awards, I am really humbled at the sheer army of volunteers that dedicate themselves to the good of the district. Our food banks, uniform banks, litter pickers, scout leaders, to name but a few, are an asset to us, and I thank each and every one of them. A few dates for the diary. I do hope that you can all join me for my forthcoming Mayor's Charity Fund Night on the 18th of November with Chris Kamara and Ian Jefferson. They'll be hosting a relaxing night of fun and entertainment, and all proceeds raised, as you know, for my charity and his man club. Tickets are £15 each, which includes your supper, and they're available from the office. The annual Festival of Remembrance will take place on Friday, 10th of November, and my carol service on Wednesday, the 13th of December. Both commence at 7 p.m, and everyone is welcome. To finish on a quite literal high, the Mayor's Charity sponsored abseil took place last Saturday. A big thank you to everyone who participated, including our very own councillor, Michelle Collins. It is a huge achievement, as I know, to abseil down the cathedral spire, and so far we've raised over £2,500 and that's been pledged. There's still time for you to donate if you wish to do so. Please see either Michelle, Nina or Dave, and we'll be only too pleased to take your money from you. There are no communications from the Chief Executive to the meeting today, so we will move on with our agenda. Agenda item 6 is to receive the leader's report. Once the leader has presented her report, she will receive comments or answer any questions from members on the matters raised in her report. Councillor Jeffrey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It would be remiss of me not to mention the terrible conflict in the Middle East. All of us in this room were shocked by the loss of innocent Israeli and Palestine lives and the sheer scale of it. In all humanity, we have to join for all those who call for an end to the violence. Large forces are at play in the Middle East, forces that make the Council's problem sometimes irrelevant. At this stage, with events moving so fast, there is little practical things that we can do, other than voice our joining those around the world calling for the ongoing violence to end. This morning, the Mayor and myself and the children raised the flag for peace. I've issued a statement that has gone out just now on behalf of the Labour group. And the other thing I would like to mention is that I feel that we need to have a service in the cathedral of all faiths calling for peace. We've got to have a peace ceremony. And then I would like to ask you, Madam Mayor, if we can have a minute's silence for the loss of lives in Palestine and Israel.
stand in memory of silence. Please be seated.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to say a few words about the council budget. As you know, there's been a lot of reports in the media that councils are going bust all across the country, but it's not happening in Wakefield. Yes, we have to find 35 million in this financial year, but I'm confident by the end of the year, with a lot of hard work from officers and colleagues, we will have a balanced budget by the end of the year. The other long-going saga, which hopefully you'll all be glad is coming to an end, is the issue with the Featherstone pool. The long-awaited report is finally arrived in the council this week, and it will be sent to the Audit and Governance Committee for their views and comments, and then we will take those on board and come back to the council when that's been looked at. The other outstanding issue, I think some of you, particularly in Ossett, are waiting for this announcement. The capital grants report will be going to Cabinet, agreeing the capital grants the following year. Just a few other things. Our district has had some really good publicity lately. The Heckler's Gardens were on Gardeners World, and it really showcased what we've got to offer. And again, we were named as the unofficial City of Sculpture by the Guardian newspaper. Now, to get in the Guardian newspaper is really something. So I think we did well with that. And our success continues with the sculpture trail, and I know that Councillor Collins may want to mention that. And then finally, we had a fantastic launch of our year down at Town Yard. Over 200 people attended, and what a venue it was, and what a programme. And again, Michelle will be talking to you about that. The green flag status, we've now got 4 parks in the green flag status. Pontefract has just been awarded that. The Prime Minister in his speech said that HS2 would be cancelled, but there would be a network of infrastructure carried out. We always welcome investment in local transport, but quite honestly, we've heard it all before, and I'll believe it when I see it. But as you know, we didn't want HS2 in Wakefield. So when everybody in West Yorkshire was upset and commiserating, I was able to say, well, we didn't want it anyway, it should never have been started. I know that doesn't go down well with everybody, but it's how we felt across party in this chamber. And I'm delighted that Newton Bar Improvement was opened at last, and I'm sure Matthew is going to mention that. And again, Castleford has had a boost of 20 million, that's 2 million over the next 10 years. Now, whilst we're pleased to be getting more funding in Castleford, there are other parts of this district that really need the funding. And I do feel, and I know we keep saying it, if we were funded properly, we wouldn't have to resort to things like this. We would be able to fund our district in a proper manner. I was very pleased to open the Ridings play area last week. Fabulous investment by the new owners. They spent thousands of pounds on a fabulous indoor play area. And it was great to see so many young children with their mums and dads all queuing up to use this facility. And quite honestly now, the ridings is absolutely buzzing. And I think we made the right decision not to buy it, but the fact that the business owner has bought it and is making such a difference to the ridings, and we are working with him in partnership. And then finally, the bus consultation is out for people to make comments, and I know again Matthew may well say something about that. So I'll finish my report with that if I get any questions.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions on Councillor Jeffrey's report? Councillor Akbar.
Thank you, Councillor Jeffrey, for highlighting the issue in the Middle East. Loss of life on both sides is a very, very sad state of affairs, very difficult for many to comprehend. We've seen that there's been mass protests throughout the United Kingdom. However, your stance is a peaceful stance, I appreciate that, but it's not like our leaders who are warmongers in Parliament rooting for war, rooting for the loss of life, and Palestinian casualties seem to be a damage of war, as we've seen in previous years. I invite you as the leader of our council to write to Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister, to condemn Israel's disproportionate response, to condemn its war crimes, to condemn the bombings of hospitals, and that no loss of life is acceptable on any side. I make that clear, whether it's the Israeli side or the Palestinian side. But we see time and time again children are being butchered from bombings. There's all sorts. It's very emotional, I'm sure, for all of us to speak about this. But we have the same goal, which is peace and tolerance. And that's my request to you as the leader of this council, to make clear that Wakefield does not support A, that we condemn Hamas, and B, that we do not support the disproportionate loss, and to end the blockade. Food, water, electricity is being blocked for Palestinians in Gaza. They're not able to access vital materials, and when they're receiving treatment in hospitals, they're still being blocked. It's absolutely ridiculous, and I invite you to make that clear on behalf of our council.
Thank you for that. In my statement, I have covered all the things that you said, but it's a statement that I sent out to the media, so you will be getting a copy of that. We have children in the gallery today, and I didn't want us to go into big debate, hence I submitted my statement prior to the council.
Just picking up on the same issue, I think it's important that young people are here, that they can, because the purpose of us being here as councillors and elected representatives is that we leave this world or this Wakefield in a better place than we did. And if we look around the world today, the amount of hotspots there are, and the young people that are growing up in this world, it's not a good place to be at the moment. I don't know whether that's more media, hype or the things, but the things that we've seen in Palestine and Israel is unacceptable, and I don't see the military response being a solution. However, I understand both sides, we can understand both sides' perspectives, but if we look at the IRA, Sinn Féin, and look how that was resolved, and some of us will remember, there was one point I was speaking to a councillor yesterday about this matter. I remember the IRA, Jerry Adams and so others, where we weren't allowed to listen to their voices on TV. Councillor Homewood, I remember when I was very young thinking, somebody's speaking on this guy's behalf. And the same people
in the IRA.
Yeah, and the same people today, there was no military solution to that problem. In the end, it was people sitting around and realising that, I'm not a pacifist in any way, I'm not saying this, but it was people sitting down and saying, Catholic, Protestant, we need to sit down and resolve this in the right way. And that was a power sharing agreement. It took years, and the conflict was, it's not perfect. But today, those same people sit around the table and speak to each other, they coexist, and certain problems do happen. And I think it's important that as elected representatives, we share that is the solution. There's something that's worked for us as a country. We don't get these IRA bomb threats in places and so on and so forth. And that is the actual solution to this problem. I don't know how it's going to happen, but that took America and other countries to actually make that happen. And I think we've touched on that, and I could go on in the history of the problems and who I feel is to blame, etc. But nobody wants to sit online, on social media, or watching TV, seeing children die from whatever religion, whatever background. The innocent lives suffering in this world today, and I feel responsible, and we all should feel responsible. And the least I can do is speak out against that. And obviously, I'm not seeing the statement, but I think it's important that we give hope to the future of people on both sides, and the children in the chamber, that we don't want to see these wars and conflicts in the world. There is a better way of resolving things. We sit and trade with Germany. Did we bomb them to death? No. We trade with them today. We did. We still do. We buy stuff. The reality is that I don't think any war in any situation resolves the conflict. It requires people to sit there and resolve the differences in a democratic way. And that, I don't know how that's going to happen in there, but I think it's important that we express that to our leaders, whether that be Keir Starmer, Rishi Sunak, because they need to take the lead, because we're local councillors. We will do what we can in Wakefield and ensure there's peace and harmony here. But I think that's important that I said that. That's my personal view. If somebody disagrees with it, they can do. In terms of HS2, I think we were unanimous in the council chamber that I disagree with HS2. I think it benefited Leeds, and it would have been at the detriment of Wakefield. The odd time that I do go to London in a train takes 2 hours, and to save 10-15 minutes at several £billion was not advantageous. I think it's important that we do write to the Transport Secretary and ask him what Wakefield is going to get. I don't really care about Bradford if they get a train station, but you know, it's important that we get the train station, whether that's in Ossett, Albury, or other areas. So the interconnectivity, how many trains do we have to catch to get to Huddersfield? It's 2, isn't it? You have to go to Leeds and go to Huddersfield, and there's one probably that goes Bradford. So we're looking at interconnectivity that benefits us, and it's important that the government outlines how Wakefield will benefit through that as well. And the last one, I think ridings, I went there yesterday, and probably going to be there on Saturday as well. It shows an example of I thought riding was finished. That's my personal view, and I think going in there recently and seeing the independent shops arrive and seeing the people going into the city centre, and people saying that, shows that Wakefield has got life left in it, and we need to make sure that we're encouraging people into the city centre in whatever way we can.
Can I just remind members that it's important that we all have our views heard. However, today in this meeting, can we keep comments onto the report and not world politics? Thank you. Councillor Hubert.
I just wanted to welcome the leader's speech and flying the peace flag. I look forward to this flying the Palestinian flag like we did a couple of years ago, welcoming the whole community in. Too many innocent people have died in this conflict. Palestinian life is equal as an Israeli life. Any form of collective punishment cannot be justified. Stopping and holding water, electricity, fuel and food is wrong and inhumane. Israel is committing war crimes and we should call it out. I stand in solidarity with the Palestinian people and the years of suffering under the Israeli occupation, and this must stop. I want to share just a little story with you. I've got a local neighbour who's Palestinian. He shared a story about 2 children.
Councillor Hubert, please, I know that it's important to yourself, but today we really must concentrate on what's in this meeting and what's in the leader's report, so if you can keep your comments to the report and the comments, please.
I'd like to just end with this. For evil to triumph, it is necessary that good people. Sorry, let me say that again. For evil to triumph, all that is necessary is that good people do nothing, and it's so important that we do something.
Thank you.
probably everyone here would unequivocally condemn what started this business off, but equally, I think looking at what's happening, we need an end to it. I'm sure I would also agree with the statement that's been issued by the state as well.
Thank you. Councillor Farmer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a quick one about capital budgets. I know I've been badgering for the last 4 or 5 months about capital budget. Just to date that we've got applications waiting. I'm just wondering, I know some of the wards don't spend all their money. If they don't spend it, can we have it?
No.
Pardon, can the leader answer the question, please?
If you don't spend it, I'm having it.
Councillor Harvey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We all come here to this council today with a very heavy heart. And I want to thank Councillor Akbar. You said those 2 words, condemn Hamas. But this council has not said that. And Councillor Ahmed, we are not compare this situation with Iraq. I'm sorry. On the 7th of October, 1,300 Jews were murdered. Baby was beheaded. Girls were raped.
Councillor Harvey.
16
Councillor Harvey, please. I'm going to pause the meeting at this. Councillor Harvey, I'm going to pause the meeting at this stage. Had you finished because I stopped you? It's okay. It's okay. Thank you. Councillor Khan.
Can I have the leader for a comment in regards to the current situation in the Middle East? I think it's been reiterated by other colleagues here that this issue does affect all our residents within the district, and it's important as leaders representing our constituents to stand up for human rights, we stand up for international law.
Sorry, Councillor. Sorry, take that. Yeah, we'll take that. Apologies.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm not going to comment on the Middle East because I think enough's been said, but all I'm going to say is it's a bit sad that comments were made that made it necessary for children to leave. And I think really we need to look at ourselves for that. You know, violence begets violence. We shouldn't hide too much from kids, but I think we went a little bit far. That's what I'm going to say on that. Just on the Featherstone Hall report, memory serves me right, was the Calendly Club included in that report as well?
No.
There was supposed to be some things with the Calendly Club in that, when I saw the report, it was highlighted. No?
No, it was just about the Featherstone Hall.
So are we going to get a report from Calendly Club anytime soon?
Yeah. Not in the same vein as the Featherstone Hall.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Griffith. Agenda item 7 is to consider Cabinet Member reports. Cabinet members have up to 5 minutes to present their report, and there are a further 15 minutes allocated to enable each Cabinet member to respond to any questions or brief comments on matters in their portfolio area. The first report from the portfolio holder for climate change and environment. Councillor Mitchell, in the absence of Councillor Hemingway, would you please introduce the report to Council?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just saying Councillor Hemingway's absence, I'm just approving this report. There's nothing to add to it, but I'm happy to take any questions, and some of them I may even be able to answer. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mitchell. Are there any questions or brief comments on the report? Councillor Harvey?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a question for Councillor Hemingway. So, many residents in Wakefield Rural Ward have expressed their strong opposition to the proposed solar farm development in the area. So, in 2021, the Wakefield Council Climate Emergency Survey showed that not building on or developing green belt line sites was incredibly important to the residents. But 91% of response said that in Sidlington, Parish Council state this was the issue very close to their heart. The community really does not want the council to allow the industrialization of our productive agricultural land and area. And we want to know, there is 4 million budget line in the midterm financial strategy itself. What the council want to spend this £4 million on? Is the council has an intention to build a new farm, solar farm ourselves, or wants to spend this money to facilitate the private investment for the solar farm in my area? The resident wants to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harvey. I'm afraid I can't answer that now. I wouldn't be able to give you a proper answer. So if you can send it in to me in writing, I'll pass it on and make sure you do get a full answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mitchell. Next is the portfolio holder for children and young people. In the absence of the portfolio holder, Councillor Scott, would you please introduce the report to Council?
In moving this report, I've got nothing else to add to it, but I want to say about the Happy Healthy Holidays. I'm assuming that most of you have been, and it's an excellent thing for children to go to. There's lots of things across the district, and I'm hoping that everybody agrees to at least one event. Thank you. If you have any questions, please call us by an email to Margaret. Thank you.
Are there any comments? Councillor Ahmed.
Probably, probably not for the council. I think probably I would have emailed this actually. Do we have an update on the concrete situation in schools that have been impacted in Wakefield? Is there just following from last council meeting, is there any schools affected, and have we got the situation? Basically, I don't want to hear that the school's closing or something like that. We're just checking an update on that.
No, no, the school is closing, and as far as we know, there's no school that's rack. Yeah, with the rack.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Jones.
It's nothing to do with Councillor O'Brien's. I have to declare with interest in the next report.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Councillor Keane.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. It's just basically to reflect on the Wakefield examination results and the good quality of those results for all those children. We mustn't forget that those children's educational career encompassed the COVID period as well. So it's good to see getting the achievements that they've done despite the fact that they've had to go through some difficult times.
Thank you, Councillor Keane. Thank you, Councillor Scott. We shall now move to the portfolio holder for communities, poverty and health. Councillor Cummings, would you please introduce your report to Council?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Nothing too much to report other than what's in the report, but we are, as you well know, in Hate Crime Week. And last week we hosted an extremely good event in the Ridings, in the space down in the centre, which you attended, raising the profile and to stop hate and being raped. And we were in Trinity Walk yesterday, albeit very cold, but we were engaged with quite a lot of people there. Also, just on agenda page 30, if I can just encourage people to be winter heroes. If you've not had your COVID jab, if you are entitled to your COVID jab, get your COVID jab, and similarly with your flu jabs as well. And just to say that the Resident First group are just embarking on the winter campaign. We did a very successful campaign last year for warm spaces, and we are doing it again this year in our hubs. With that, I will report.
Thank you. Are there any questions or any comments on the report? Thank you, Councillor Cummings. The next report is the portfolio holder for culture, leisure and sport. Councillor Collins, would you please introduce your report to Council?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In moving my report, really, the only thing that I want to mention is the IEA 2024 launch that we had last week. It was great to see so many of you there. It was an absolutely fantastic event, and I think everybody felt a real buzz to have over 100 people, not 100, hundreds of people, local creatives, community organisations, partner organisations all coming together to see how we can move forward and make next year a spectacular year. Was absolutely fantastic. I just want to put on record thanks to everybody that organised that. The team worked incredibly hard in the background. You know, when we all left, they were still there cleaning up and wrapping up just to make sure that we get to experience these wonderful events. So I'd like to pay thanks to them. And with that, I'll move on.
Are there any questions or brief comments on the portfolio holders report? Councillor Khan?
Thank you, Michelle. It's an absolutely amazing report. Thanks for the amazing team behind it. Lots of work been going on in the background, so I look forward to it happening. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Collins. The next is the portfolio holder for planning and highways. Councillor Morley, would you please introduce your report to Council?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Yes, just following on from the leaders' report and the way the Mayor of West Yorkshire has launched a bus consultation programme. It's out to consultation the 7th of January. I encourage all members and all residents to take part in that. The status quo of the buses in Wakefield is not tenable. We cannot carry on the way we are. We've seen the cuts. It's ridiculous. So something needs to change, and we need to take part in that consultation to make sure it does change, Madam Mayor. Newton Bar, yes, absolutely delighted that it's finished now. Looking a lot better around there. Traffic flowing through there a lot better. We'll be embarking on planting that area. I'm opening down the central reservation. There's some lovely cherry trees down there. The daffodils will be replanted, and also the nature area that has just gone through the planning stage, should be signed off this week once the work will start in that area, where Charlie's pinwheel will be installed, and also the memorial to all the police officers that were killed in that tragic coach crash in May 1978 will also be remembered there. We will be marking that with a ceremony and an event where we will be able to go online there. So that's all I've got to add, and I'd like to take any questions. Thank you.
Any questions or brief comments on the report? Councillor Pickersgill.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to, I think Council Moore has partly addressed it, so to say thank you very much for the work that's taken place regarding the car. I'm aware that you've had a sort of very wonky opening of the road scheme part of it. However, when we get to the opening of the nature area, particularly the memorial to the police officers, can we please make sure it's actually sort of well known, so people have 2 or 3 weeks notice at least of it, so people can attend. I'm aware people who, I think it's unfortunate to take this long to do with regard to the police road crash around it. Quite a few people who tried to be talking to the comments who got affected and so on. So I think it'd be good if we had plenty of notice of that, so they can have a wide community attendance. That's all.
Just to add, Councillor Pickersgill, we are working with the Police Federation on this, local residents, so we will make sure plenty of notice so everyone can attend.
Thank you. Councillor Shah.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You've invested in a speed compliance toolkit. Just 2 questions, please. How much was this toolkit, and what is the time that it's going to take from discovering the areas of concern to actually doing something about it? I think that'd be useful.
The toolkit up there, we're not talking millions and billions, we're talking a couple of hours, something like that. What we normally have to do now, once we look at speed on a road, we have to engage and pay lease to council taking on behalf of all the West Yorkshire councils to go out, put the rubber linings down, do it over a week. And also, depending on when leases council can do that, as I say, for the whole West Yorkshire, there's a cost of that. Now with this toolkit, we can do it instantly, because it takes about, into consideration, sat navs, information, street lights, all sorts of information out there, so it's instantly. It depends on the location. Obviously, we have Vision Zero, we're working towards. There's a funding for that role. So it may be an area that we do want to look at something. It may be a TRO, but as anyone knows from TRO experience, it can take up to 2 years to implement sometimes, depending on the objections or the support you get. So there's no size fits all. It depends on the location and what's needed in that location.
Thank you. Councillor Harvey.
Councillor Morley, West Breton Parish Council has once again raised a safety issue on Breton Lane outside the school. They reaffirmed that their determination to get the council to set a 20-mile-per-hour speed limit on the stretch of the road. I have been campaigning on it for the last 6 years. 5 years ago, the enforcement officer from the council put it in black and white that he has seen many dangerous traffic situations outside the school, but never that bad. So many other wards have implemented 20 miles per hour, but we still haven't got this in place for the children's safety in West Breton. Can Councillor Morley please shed some light on this situation and give us some reassurance that the budget will be in next year to set a 20 miles per hour budget speed limit outside Breton? Thank you.
Councillor Harvey, I'm more than happy to look into it and give you an answer of what's happening with there. Probably need to do it quickly, because obviously your plans wanted to get rid of all 20-mile-an-hour zones and do everything and get rid of all before winter time. So obviously we need to get on with this. And hopefully you won't be there for too much longer, and we'll be a late month there promoting 20-mile-an-hours.
Thank you. Councillor Jones.
Councillor Moore, thank you for your report. I just wondered if it would be possible to arrange a meeting about safety of horses in South Hinkley.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. The portfolio holder for regeneration and economic growth. Councillor Ray, would you please introduce your report to Council?
Thanks, Mayor. I'd just like to highlight on page 58, and thank you to everyone
of this district. And I think we were very clear, it's not just about the city and the 10 towns, there's bits in between all of these towns, villages and other places with their own identities that we need to bring investment to as well. So it's something that's on our mind, it's something that we're going to continue to do. With that, I'm happy to take any questions or comments on the report.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments on the report? Councillor Akbar.
Councillor Graham, just a question in regards to regeneration for City Fields for that matter. I'll just briefly read out one of the lines. All City Field sites now have planning permission with all but one phase. I appreciate you've inherited this portfolio just this year. However, it's a widely known fact that the residents of East Moor are unhappy with this, with the amount of regeneration that's gone on in City Fields, the amount of homes that have been put there. It's had a strenuous effect on services. Most importantly, it's taken away our green spaces massively. Can I ask you to take away what City Fields, the developers and what the council are actually putting back into East Moor? Because, to be honest with you, I've been told on countless occasions X, Y and Z will happen, but I've seen nothing. So how is this actually benefiting East Moor? And will the council put something back into East Moor, whether it be a park, whether it be better development of services? Oh, winding roads there. Thank you for reminding me about that, Tony. People are using Park Lodge Lane to cut through into City Fields, vice versa. We've seen speeding, etc. Thankfully, we've had a zebra crossing put in, but there needs to be better measures for the roads, but also we'd like to see something put back into East Moor. I won't expect you to answer the question now, but I'd be very grateful if you can take it back with you. I don't want to take you by surprise on the matter.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Akbar. I think we're totally on the same page. I think the public are constantly saying that we're building houses, and I think that's the right thing to do. When we have 20,000 people on the homeless list for the district, we do need more quality homes, and we need different types. We need social housing, we need affordable, and everything else. And I think within this report, you'll see that we're delivering. There's bungalows there, there's adapted housing. We're doing a good job there. What I don't think anyone sort of got right in the whole country, not this council, is the infrastructure that goes with it. And it's such a huge picture. You know, sometimes I feel like we need more school places, we need more schools, we need more dentists, more doctors, and the people out there tell us constantly they can't get a dentist, etc. I'm very I want this council to make that picture completely clear. If we're not getting new dentists and doctors, whose fault is that? Because it's not the council's fault. We don't run, we don't build, we don't operate these things, but we can push to influence those that do and demand that these are put in place. So I'm on the same page as you. I'm happy to work with the councils in East and everywhere else in the district to demand we get the infrastructure we need to go with the housing.
Councillor Shah.
Thank you. Thanks, Michael. Obviously, I've read the report and I just want to basically highlight that there's still nothing for our ward. Literally nothing. We did ask to meet with you, we still haven't. I just wanted to basically put us on the map really, how we can really communicate so that you meet with us.
Yeah, I think it was Councillor Keith who requested the meeting. Officers have emailed Councillor Keith and asked for the basically also, for the thing. And I know we've spoken about it before, so we're sort of waiting to hear back to. I will meet with you any day of the week and talk about regeneration in your area. But I'll just point out this obviously isn't every single, and you can see straight away Normanton and Featherstone not in this report because we can't do everything everywhere all at once. But if there's specific things in your area that regeneration can help with, I'm all ears and I'll help us as much as we possibly can to spread that out.
Councillor Keith.
Yeah, I did have a meeting with housing about
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just regarding the shop improvement grant scheme, that seems to have been going on forever. I just wonder when the end was in sight, whether any of the potential bidders have likely to get an answer as to whether they're going to get their grant. Because it does seem to have gone on a long time, and I know people are interested to know. And the OSIT, the old library, it says here that the asbestos has been removed apart from a small amount. How small amount? And when are you going to get it out? But that is pretty good.
Thanks, Councillor. Just on the shop front grants, as you can see, we're doing a lot of these across a lot of different places, and with the capacity we've got, it's frustrating. Sometimes it takes a lot longer. I know officers are working the hardest to work through them, to get that money out, to get the improvements there, work with businesses. So I can't give you an exact date on when once we're going to end on the road and start up, but we are getting through it as fast as we can with the resources that we've got. On the OSIT library asbestos, I can't see in the report what you're talking about. Oh yeah, most of the asbestos in the library has been removed as well, not remaining. I don't know the exact quantity in however asbestos is measured, but I can get you that to you in an email after the meeting. Yeah.
Councillor Williamson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As Councillor Graham's report shows quite a few projects in March to take place in Hemsworth Ward. There's already been some work undertaken to start in the park, and there's been some refurbishment and some additional play equipment put in. And I just wanted to pass on my thanks to Councillor Graham, to all the staff in the region team and the park team. It's been really well received by residents there. And I think when we're talking about these infrastructure projects, sometimes it seems to go on forever, and it is a long and slow process, unfortunately, but I just want to pass on the thanks to residents who have got in touch with me. It's been very well received.
Thanks, Jake. I think my thanks as well to officers. It was really nice to walk around with yourself and Councillor Jones as well, and see all the different places, see the improvements that we're making. I think this regeneration, it's quite cross-cutting. It's not just my area, it's every portfolio holder. It is sort of feeding into this when we make these improvements. So yeah, it's brilliant, and it is all down to the officers and to the public for feeding in their opinions as well. We're not just deciding what's best here, we're listening to what residents tell us, and then we're making those improvements. So yeah, great.
Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Commenting on the question from Michael. In terms of the regeneration of the housing that's been mentioned as a need, the local development framework plans from years ago designated around Wakefield city centre wards a need for 5,000 properties. And part of that is the East Moor project, the fields, operation through the scheme with strategic housing and housing needs service, that once there is occupancy within this accommodation, what is the monitoring that goes on in terms of the landlord's responsibility for those properties, be it through maintenance, refuse collection, or anything else for the standards and quality that we would expect? Because sometimes they are far from what would be expected. And Michael, I'd like to know if there is a contingency within that for the monitoring, whether it's 6 monthly or yearly, to make sure that the standard is a standard that we want to be involved in through this particular scheme, which is laudable.
Thanks, Councillor Rhodes. I'll be honest, I haven't got the answer to your question right now in terms of what monitoring happens, whether one, we have to do it, whether two, we do it, or whether there's someone there to do it. But I'll definitely look into it and get you a response as soon as possible, because I think it's a very important question to be asking. So I'll let you know, Councillor Rhodes. I'll send it to everyone else so they can answer to it.
Thank you, Councillor Graham. The final Cabinet Member report is that of the portfolio holder for resources and property. Councillor Shaw, can you please present our report to Council?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have nothing more to add to the report as written first. There's a couple of highlights that I wanted to go through. One is the revenue and benefit service. When you actually look, I think, you know, we should be patting ourselves on the back on one hand. About 40,000 low-income households were supplied with vouchers over the year. Now, we pat ourselves on the back that we do that, but then it got me thinking, you know, what sort of a society do we have when we have to do that sort of thing on a regular basis? What I will do is congratulate the teams in resources for the work we're doing in that area and in all the other areas that are in this report. One thing I would like to highlight is the long service cards. I think they're fantastic. And I'd like to add my congratulations to Bobby, aged 10, from Stanley Grove Primary School, for his designs and some of the things. It just shows the links and some of the things that you did, Madam Mayor, inviting the children into this chamber, the links that a lot of us, and I mean whatever party, wherever we're from, have with schools and have with children and how we develop that. And I think we really need to continue with that. With that, I'll move my report.
Thank you. Are there any questions, comments on the report? Councillor Haywood.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and with your indulgence, I have one question for Councillor Shaw, but I'd like to have a gap between the two. So, with regard to the new sort of property and facilities management arrangements, can I turn your attention to Ossett Town Hall? It's not like I'd like to thank you, Liz, for inviting us up there, and you were there, it was great. We went all around Ossett Town Hall, all around the town hall block, which is rotten to pieces and has had to be all replaced. But what came to light on this mission, because that's what it was that somewhere along the line, somebody hiding somewhere in one of these offices decided to carry out a survey on a Grade 2 listed building that's over 100 years old with a drone. A drone. Well, quite clearly, you can't carry out a proper survey on a building of that nature with a drone. When the downpipes, which are made of cast iron, have been there 100 years, the village idiot would know that they're going to require attention. But apparently there was nothing in the report for that. The brickwork rotting away because it's in the past been pointed with concrete when it needs to be pointed with lime. I mean, you know, who's doing this and why aren't they being frog engineers to explain themselves? Because this is just completely unacceptable. So we've now got a budget that went from 1.2 million, I believe, and is almost approaching 3 million. And if we're not questioning that seriously, somebody somewhere is responsible, and I accept that it's not Councillor Shaw, who is as outraged about it, I know, as I was.
Point of order, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Shaw.
Yeah, from a technological perspective, drones are used to take photographs of buildings.
That's not a point of order.
So,
Councillor Shaw, that's not a point of order.
but he's
It's
saying
not
that
a point
something
of
wrong
order.
has been done by the
It's not a
council.
point of order. I'm sorry, it's not a point of order. Councillor Homewood.
If I may continue, Madam Mayor. So, the William Birch, who told us themselves that they were asked to carry out their quote based on the images on that drone. So I think that really answers the question of just raised. But, you know, yes, of course there's a place for drones and surveying buildings, it makes sense. But not a 100-year-old building that's barely had any maintenance for a century. I mean, you know, required a proper survey by somebody who knew what they were doing. And clearly that didn't happen. And I'd like to ask the leader, if I can, why she's first.
Councillor Homewood. Not at this stage.
Well, you know where I'm going.
Okay.
But somebody needs to answer the questions as to why this was allowed to happen. Because you're talking a major piece of money required to make up the gap. When, I mean, the scaffolding, 700 grand. It's 11,000 quid a week. And it's standing there, it should have gone by now. Somebody needs to answer for this. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Homewood, would like to take questions in one because you need...
No, that was just one question.
Can you ask your second question then within this comment?
Can I have a gap?
No, you need to ask it now.
Oh, okay. Well, if you insist.
I do.
Okay. Yeah, Wakefield Place and the big conversation. That made some interesting reading, didn't it? I can't believe that Wakefield District Housing can make a video about using programs, because that's how it reads to me. And we can be sure that this sort of nonsense, because that's what it is, if you want a big conversation, go out and ask people on the street what they think about this nonsense. My friend's transgender and I helped him do it. By that I don't mean I will announce. But my friend is transgender, so it's not that I'm anti-trans or anything. I'm not. You know, I gave a lot of help. But what I've got to say is that starting this gender pronoun nonsense needs to be stopped in its tracks, and it needs to be stopped today, and it doesn't want to be creeping its way into here.
Two questions. First question about the drones. Yes, I was there obviously with you and Councillor Farmer, going through a number of different things, and I also heard the conversation. And what we always do, that's in the past, but we should look at how we do things and make sure we do things better in the future. And we had that conversation, and you know where's that conversation. The second point, where you're talking, the big conversation covers a number of different aspects, right? And what it does do, it informs this council what people think, and it comes back from various different groups. And no, we will always continue to consult, to discuss with groups, and then analyse it and see how we can take things forward. So, yeah, you've got your view, we've got our view, we will not change our view on that. Thanks.
Councillor Harvey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also have two questions that will come up together for Councillor Shaw. So, according to the Council's report, page 64, notable progress has been achieved in the area of long-term adult social care. It states that 83.4% of the people receiving longer-term care and support are now being cared for at home instead of 83.5% in June last year. So I fail to see how this qualifies as notable progress. So what is the evidence to assure this council to support this assurance? Or is it just an arbitrary statement? The second one, I want to know that there are so many, a few at least, care homes has closed in the district in the last year due to rising cost of and also the funding gap. So what is the council plan to take care of these vulnerable people, elderly residents? One of them actually is 103 years old. So because the adult social care budget is accounted for at least, in this council we're doing well, that still approaching 50% of the whole of the revenue budget each year. So is it time for the council to consider to have a portfolio holder of adult social care to manage that budget properly? Thank you.
Good questions, but I think I'm going to pass this. It should be, it's in Maureen's portfolio, not my portfolio. So, okay.
If you'd like to email Councillor Cummings those questions, because you've actually asked the questions under the wrong portfolio holder. So it's for adult health and social care.
Sorry, Madam Mayor. What we'll do, just talk to Maureen, will certainly get the answer to those questions.
That is under your report.
Madam Mayor, it's a minute report.
The budget level, Vital sign report. Equity liaison, Councillor Harvey. Harvey? Got a posh name today, Councillor Harvey. I do apologise.
Yeah, I appreciate it was in Leslie's report, but it does come under my portfolio. I'll take it away and I'll get you a full response to the question.
Is that okay, Councillor Harvey? Thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor Cummings, and thank you, Councillor Sherwood. Councillor Scott.
Yeah, thank you. I'd just like to appreciate what's happening with menopause, with what's happening with the staff and Wakefield and the things that are being put on for them. Because to be honest, I went through hell with my menopause, and I went to an event for a few weeks. I went to a group, and the women there considered suicide, and children had to have tried suicide. So I'm really grateful for this that's being put on in the Wakefield Council for staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you. I'd like to applaud Wakefield Place and the big conversation in WDH for their work on pronouns. I don't think it's necessary. Language is important. Language doesn't just describe the world we live in, it creates it. And it creates it as a better place when we give due regard and respect to all people in society. So I'd like to have my applause and congratulations to WDH for the work that they're doing with language. Thank you.
Thanks for both those comments. I think they're important and it shows the work we do across all things. Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item 8 is a report which seeks approval of the council size submission to the Local Government Boundary Commission for England and to the retention of the current electoral cycle. Is the report moved?
Move to the report, Madam Mayor.
Is the report seconded? Thank you. Are there any questions in relation to the report? Councillor Harvey.
Madam Mayor, I have a very short speech about this proposal. It will be less than 4 minutes. Will I be able to allow to?
This is the questions, but you can do it under comments.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? No. Comments? Councillor Harvey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So despite this significant change in our community, our district has not reviewed electoral boundary or the council site for 2 decades. The recent local election saw an alarming 24.95% turnout, the lowest among all other councils within the West Yorkshire Combined Authority. It is evident that the current system isn't serving our city's residents. We simply cannot afford to get it wrong this time around. The council proposal suggests maintaining the status quo with 3 councillors per ward and yearly elections, which is costly and ineffective. This is unnecessary, costly for the taxpayer of Wakefield, and inefficient from a governance point of view. The reason for this, as mentioned on Council Book, page 73, point 38 of the agenda, are flawed. Firstly, it states that current system avoid potentially electing a complete change of councillors with no experience and allow the continuity of councillors. Madam Mayor, the whole point of democracy is to let voters have the final say. If that means replacing every single councillor with candidates who are new, then so be it. This assumption also undermines the professionalism of the council officers who work incredibly hard to support both incoming and incumbent councillors with the ultimate or utmost impartiality. They also suggest that holding whole of council election every 4 years increases the likelihood of voters being swayed by what is happening nationally, especially if local elections are held on the same day as a general election. Unless a snap election is called, which happened to coincide with our pre-planned council election, there's no reason why this election would need to happen on the same day, given the current election cycle we're having. The current system allegedly saying that immediate accountability isn't convincing, as each councillor already has a fixed 4-year term. What it does actually do is give more opportunity for voters to be influenced more often by what is happening nationally. This current council knows this has happened to some of the valuable public members in the past when public opinion shifted by the national politics. Furthermore, the idea that the council ought to keep it simple by only letting people choose one councillor a year, it is really preposterous to imply that there might be mass voter confusion if the people of this city were electing 2 or 3 councillors once every 4 years is incredibly patronizing. Conversely, I strongly believe that we need to improve the system by holding whole of council elections once every 4 years. As the councils themselves have not acknowledged this would undoubtedly reduce the voter fatigue, and also along with the greater publicity of the whole council elections and the feeling amongst voters that their choice will be much more impactful, would also increase turnout significantly. This is why 32 London boroughs, 21 county councils and 103 district councillors, 47 of the 62 do this way. Sorry. On page 73, point 37, they also made a passing mention to the fact that the whole of the council election would be far less costly. Madam Mayor, let's be clear, we're not just talking about saving a few quid. By having all-out election every 4 years instead of annually, the council would be saving millions of local taxpayers' money. Now, more than ever, with cost of living increase and limited public finance, we should be doing all we can to underweight single public fund and deliver value for money for the taxpayer in Wakefield. Further to that, the council must conduct a more thorough and rigorous evaluation of the cost and benefit of 3 councillors per ward. Well, there's substantial case load due to growing population, but last year, the Wakefield district Citizen Advice Bureau could not even have one single Labour Party appointed councillor to sit on that board. It's telling me that the system is not working. So let's try to re-look at the cross-party.
Thank you, Councillor Harvey.
Thank you.
Councillor Gray.
I genuinely can't remember what I was going to say. I welcome the report. I think it is due a review. It's been 20 years and we do need to look at it. I think I like that people get to decide every year because it doesn't allow ward councillors to hide behind 4 years of doing absolutely nothing for the people they represent, which does happen in some of our wards down south. So I
welcome what we've got in here. And I think if turnout's so low, it's probably because voters are so sick and tired of a government that continuously calls general elections every 5 minutes. If you had less of them, they might come out more, I think.
Councillor Morley.
Yeah, 2004 when we had the last review of the new boundaries, my first outing into politics, I stood in Wakefield Rural, of all places. I stood for the council that year. I particularly support the report. I like the fact that we have elections on Thursday afternoon now. It's more democratic. People have a better say in it. I've been told every 4 years it takes democracy out of the politics in respect. And it's always a good indicator as well where we are nationally and locally. I think to do go down lines the Council of Arby's doing is ridiculous, quite truthful. So I do support it. It's not, you don't always work for Labour, you don't always work for Conservatives. Let's remember, 2021, you had a very good year. Well, you had a very good year. You're all out there now as independents. So it doesn't always work out as expected. I think it should be remained on thirds.
No, I've got my eye on that. Councillor Keith.
Yeah, I think this is, I welcome the report. I think we've looked into these things. I think you've only got to look at the section that says that the number of people that you represent in each ward, and we do need 3 councillors. We don't need to lower it. We do have 2 councillors. We don't need to take out some wards. Though I do think some of the boundaries will be adjusted to make sure that we get that balance of representation from each ward. So each one council is not being elected from a 10,000 voters, other ones are actually trying to get elected from 14,000. So you've also got to strike that balance depending upon where those developments are taking place. What Councillor Arby is suggesting is basically let's have a all-out every 4 years. And she's doing that from a purely political motivation. That what people tend to do on an all-out is have a big mix situation. Instead of voting with the councillors that are best for them, there are a couple of those who will try one of those, and that's where this is all based at. If we want true democracy, people should stand for 4 years and be elected on their own merits within that 4 years. The system that we've got is not broken. It might need a little bit of adjustment with numbers in each ward, but the system is the best representation for the people of Wakefield. So I fully support the recommendations. Thank you for that.
I find this really interesting because when we talk about democracy in this, democracy...
Councillor Shaw, I do apologise. You need to come in at the end.
Yeah.
So I've brought you in
So-
a little bit early.
I thought we finished.
No, I'm not. It's my fault entirely, and I apologise. We have got some more questions. Councillor Garrett.
Yeah, I'd like to support this report as well. I think if you was to have an all-out election every 4 years and just have all new councillors in, I'm speaking from my own experience as a new councillor, I rely on Tom when he was here for a lot of support. And I think you potentially got a situation where you could have 3 completely new councillors in a ward, nobody knowing what they're doing. Who are you going to learn from? So I think, you know, getting elected for 4 years and having an election every year, I think is the way to go. But I do think if we want to encourage, I agree with Councillor Harvey that turnout was far too low. And we've got to look at ways of addressing that and getting rid of the apathy amongst the voters. And maybe the way to look at that is to look at the actual system instead of having a first past the post, look at proportional representation, for example. So there is changes we can make, but going to all out every 4 years, I don't think is one of them.
Thank you, Councillor Castillo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just 2 very brief points in relation to what Councillor Harvey said. The ones that are all out tend to be 2-tier authorities, and effectively with the Mayor, we are now a 2-tier authority. If we didn't have local elections next May, we would still be having an election for the Mayor, we would still be out of cost. So we wouldn't save 2/3 of the amount, we'd only save 1/3 of the amount. The other thing to say is that certainly it feels from this side of the chamber as a control group, annual elections keep us on our toes. And that's the point of democracy. I think you've got perhaps too much your own board, Councillor, in a marginal board. We're conscious of how we're perceived and how we're seen in marginal boards, so we go out to win as many seats as possible. And the annual test puts us on our toes to be tested every 3 out of the 4 years. And I think that's right. You've got the right to come and criticise what we're doing in 3 out of 4 years. Unfortunately, in Wakefield North, where I sit, we didn't put a leaflet out last year.
I like to agree with what Councillor Keith said, which was that you could find that persons finding themselves trying to be elected from 14,000 people rather than 10,000 people, and it's nice to know that he supports the government's alteration to the parliamentary boundary, because that was the basis on which it was done.
Thank you. Councillor Shaw. Yeah, I also welcome the report. I just feel that sometimes, every time Councillor Harvey speaks, it's a political broadcast for wanting to be an MP. Literally every time he comes in here, it's just an MP bid. It only makes sense to have an all-out election when the parliamentary committee decide that which is every 20 years, I think, 20 years, which is reasonable. Population change, people migrate, areas get redeveloped. Doesn't make sense to do it every 4 years. It costs the council immensely with the polling station situation and everything else. Thank you.
Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I fully support this report. I just wanted to pick up on the comments from Councillor Harvey about what I think it's problem all over the country. It doesn't just affect Wakefield, and there's many reasons for it. In fact, some people feel a disconnect from politics in general, and I think that's down to us as representatives and community leaders to try and tackle that. But I think there's one important piece of information missing, is that in this year's local elections, party's national government introduced voter ID, which practically disenfranchised millions of people across this country. So while we've got to put work in to try and get people interested in politics, we also need a party to remove the voter ID legislation and allow people, particularly the most vulnerable and poorest people in our society, the ability to go and actually vote without putting additional barriers in place.
Councillor Hayes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't think there's any particular political advantage in moving away from annual elections, but there is a massive saving to be made if you move away from annual elections. It's not just the cost of the election, the cost of hiring the ballot places and everything else. It's the amount of work that doesn't get done from January to maybe March, June, because people close down and then everybody has to be re-elected, and there is the fragile state of the budget, as the leader pointed out. We really need, as a council, to make some savings somewhere. And I don't think, to make an assumption that you're going to get 4 new councillors every 4 years is ridiculous. A lot of you would just come back. So, it's not as though democracy is not being exercised by having an election every 4 years. It's just a financial point I'm making to a council that is running short of money.
Councillor
Sorry, I just am concerned that in fact I feel that we are running out of democracy, and if we actually go to argue about the cost of it, we're going to be in a situation where we might as well cancel it altogether and say to hell with democracy. It's a democratic process, it allows people to participate and vote, and there'll always be issues about finance, particularly the present voting system thing, the way that people have impediments. But I really do think it's important, but it isn't an argument around cost. Otherwise we could argue that we don't have any voting opportunities at all. And I find that really worrying.
Thank you. Councillor Wakefield.
I was just going to touch on the point that Councillor Rowley talked about. I don't think cost should be an issue when choosing who your representatives are as your councillors. I think residents should have every opportunity to decide who they would like to represent them. Further to that, I think personally I've historically seen on some occasions, on some elected members have sat doing nothing, and when it comes to election period, they get very busy. So I think yearly elections ensure that it does root this out to some degree. I don't think it should change from that. So thanks.
Yeah, I'd just like to pick up on what Councillor Haynes said, and the comment you made that Wakefield Council are running out of money is just not true. And it's just the typical thing that you do say. And then it gets in the media, and it be all around the district that we're running out of money. You need to be very careful what you say.
Councillor Shaw.
Yeah, I want to just reiterate that we're not running out of money, and the leader is right. Indeed, we'll be one of the number of councillors who hopefully will be setting a budget, and people should wait for that. I mean, democracy, Madam Mayor, talked about from a number of people. I'll tell you what democracy is, Councillor Harvey. When we looked at setting this up, and when we wanted to get information, we invited, believe it or not, we invited certain groups. Your group was invited, sorry, I can't use the word group, I don't know what it is. But somebody from the Conservative Party were invited to come to meetings along with somebody from the Liberal Party, and Councillor Gurth came along to every meeting. I chaired the meeting. We had a group of people sat round with officers discussing things and how to take it forward, different ways of doing things, different ways of doing democracy. That's what we were doing. Then we went out, we sent everybody questionnaires, everybody in this council could fill in the questionnaires about the timing, everything. We covered every angle, because the people that bothered to attend those meetings set those sort of things up. Nobody came from you or your leader, nobody came, and then you've come with a diatribe. You could have come and put those points, and you could have put that point all the way along the line, but you didn't. You've chosen to wait right on this report. And one of my colleagues has said something. I'm wondering what your game is. But it certainly isn't democracy, because if it was democracy, somebody from your group would have turned up and had a discussion. And it just didn't happen. And I think to come here and then to look at this report, which you can see people have read it, agreed with it, and not put your points of view to that, I think you really need to think about what you're doing.
Thank you, Councillor Shaw. So now what we're going to do is take the recommendations in the report to the vote. All in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? That vote is carried. Thank you. Agenda item 9 is a report which details revised seat allocations to political groups and seeks approval of the proposed appointments to several council committees. Is the report moved?
Move the report, Madam Mayor.
Is the report seconded?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any questions in relation to the report? Any comments? All in favour? abstentions? That is carried. Agenda item 10 is a report which seeks approval of the establishment of a joint health overview and scrutiny committee. Is the report moved?
Move it.
Is the report seconded? Are there any questions in relation to the report? Any comments? All in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? That is carried. Agenda item 11 is a report which seeks approval of the Wakefield Youth Justice Service Annual Plan 2023 to 24. Is the report moved? Is it seconded? Are there any questions in relation to the report? Any comments? Councillor Rowley.
I'd just like to comment that difficult times in terms of the budget around people. I think this particular area does a fantastic job. I think we should be congratulating them on the report. It really is impressive.
All in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? That is carried. Agenda item 12 is questions on notice. The first of the questions received is from Councillor Homewood, of which are set out in the council agenda. Councillor Morley, would you please reply to the question?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Owen, for advance notice of this question. I looked into this, and Simon White, the MP, doesn't currently have any parking permits issued by the council. The MP's register of interest, members' interest, does record 2 parking permits that have been issued in 22 support his parliamentary duties. These were not specific to any individual vehicles, and they were subsequently returned to the council as they was not needed.
Council procedure rules entitle the questioner to one supplementary question, but it must arise directly out of the original question posed or the reply given. Councillor Homewood, do you have a supplementary question?
I do, Madam Mayor, thank you. I accept that came to an end, that arrangement in, I believe, about February the 14th. I didn't know whether it was a lover's tiff and you decided to throw it back. But what I am saying is, and I understand since, that the previous MP, prisoner exemplar, also had 2 parking permits. No MPs should have any parking permits free from this council. Why should we subsidise Ipswich? Because if they don't get them free from here, they can claim the money on their expenses. And I'd rather see it in Wakefield Council's bank account than see it in Ipswich's bank account. So can we be assured that such permits will not be granted in the future to anyone, and I don't care who they are? Yes. Excellent. Job done.
Thank you, Councillor. The second question is from Councillor Speed and is to the portfolio holder for resources and property. Councillor Shaw, would you please reply to the question?
Thank you, Councillor Speed, for the question. Property's already been visited, and a scope of works is currently being pulled together to look at the roof, the changing rooms, and paint, and a number of different other issues on ventilation, condition, and that side of it. The works hopefully will be completed in the near future. Within this crossover, and I mean the near future, because we want to get the work done, we all do, certainly for the football clubs and all like that. I haven't got an exact date on when it's completed, but it will be in the near future. And the cost obviously will be through the council as well.
supplementary question? Would you like to ask the question?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. By time scale, are we talking 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 2 years?
We're not talking months, we're talking weeks. We want to get it done as soon as possible, okay?
Thank you. The final item on our agenda for today is motions to council, of which none have been submitted to today's council. Thank you all for your attendance, and I now declare the council meeting is
Ladies and gentlemen, council members, we will standing off the mayoral party leave the council chamber.